Hello, welcome to my very first art video. I've been watching so many wonderful young ladies on YouTube, Fatima's Art Show and Joanna Clue down in Australia, and I thought to myself, well, maybe this old lady can do one too. So I took writing a book off my bucket list and put making a YouTube art video on my bucket list instead. I've been watching the art journal videos, and that kind of inspired me to try my own art journal. This is the very first one I've ever tried, so I think the next one's going to be a lot better, but I'm going to go ahead and show you the one that I did now. The cover of the art journal, I used some handcrafted paper that I did. I believe I learned how to do this watching Fatima's Art Show, and it's where you put the dye on the water and you float the dye on the water and then you dip the paper in and it clings to the paper. And I loved the patterns, but I didn't know what to do with the paper, so I made that the cover of my journal. So here's the title page. Nothing very special about that. I just did some masking with 1/4-inch tape, threw down some paint, and did my my title page. The rest of the journal has a lot about my thoughts, things I've been thinking about lately. This first page, this is the first one I did, and I started out just practicing with mixed media background, which I really hadn't done mixed media before, and it was so much fun. I used a lot of watercolor. This is all watercolor. I like the Yarka colors because they're very, very bright. I put down the watercolor. I did some etching in the wet paint with some lettering. Added some paper and some stamps. And then I thought, okay, what kind of autobiographical page could I do? I was going through some old frames, looking for a frame for another project, and I ran across this sketch, and this was a sketch that my parents had done at the state fair when I was 10 years old, and I thought maybe I could use that sketch somehow. I started to cut it out and put it on the page, but since it was graphite, I was afraid it would mess up. So I copied that. I tried to redraw it and copied that image from when I was 10 years old, and I started to think about what was I like when I was 10 years old, and what I was a bookworm, and my favorite thing to do was to read the biographies. There was a whole shelf of biographies of young Americans, and I read them all, and they became my heroes. There was Clara Barton, Jane Addams, Dolly Madison, Louisa May Alcott, Florence Nightingale, and Abigail Adams. I hope one day I will grow up and make a difference the way they did, and it really, really impacted my life as a 10-year-old. Here, I'm going to put this up closer so you can see the background on there. So there's my autobiographical page. The next page, the rest of the book is just kind of things I've been thinking about lately. I've been thinking about being a builder. I wanted to show you the background here. I just did watercolor, and then I took an ink pen that didn't have any ink in it and scratched through it to make it look like the wood. And then this is just some pictures that I put on there. And my son is a builder. He builds beautiful things. All kind of beautiful things, and I've been a teacher and a principal, and so I feel like I've kind of been a builder too, but I've been hopefully building people. And so I wrote, Lord, please help me be a builder. Let the people I touch be a little straighter, taller, more of what you want them to be, because I help them to see what is possible. Then this next page is just had a little bit of paper. I cut out some flowers and put them on there and did doodles. This page didn't impress me very much, but I went ahead and I gessoed in, and I put a little prayer. I put thank you for a roof over my head, clothes on my back, food to enjoy, a job to pay the bills and maybe make a difference. There are no bombs falling on my home, and I have no fear of government arrest. I don't deserve any of this, and I am grateful. Now this next page, I'll pull it up a little bit, is just simply a painting that I did. And it's got a lot of gloss medium on it. I hope you can see it because it's kind of glossy. When the kids were little, we would go camping at a place called Coletta Creek, and I loved the nature trail. I would walk hours and hours and hours on that nature trail. In fact, to me, walking through the woods, there's nothing more relaxing. And this is just a little painting I did of the nature trail. Now these next two pages I had a lot of fun doing. They're very different. The first one, I'm going to pull it up just a little bit so you can see it. I just used two colors on this. I used, this is all watercolor, a little bit of white gesso. I used Payne's Gray and Violet and just covered the page in the Payne's Gray and Violet, and then I took tissue and lifted off the moon and the clouds and the waves and then scraped out the rocks with a piece of plastic. And I found as I was doing this, I kept humming the hymn, "He hideth my soul in the cleft of the rock." So I took a white pen and put that there. This next one, I had so much fun doing the background with the textures. I just started throwing down watercolor and paint. I put some paper here. There's a lot of writing, and then I added some ink and splashed the ink around. And you know, when you get old, you think about what's important, and I decided I'm not going to leave much in the way of material goods, but I put, "My good name is what I will leave behind," and then I remind myself not to blow it. Now this page is kind of a dark page. I started doing the background and it just looked real dark, and I guess I was in sort of a thunderous mood when I did it. 2016 was a kind of hard year for everybody, and but I can't stay upset for very long, so I found some old doodles that I had done and put the doodles on these pages and added some gold paint, and I just put 2016, trying to find order and beauty in the chaos and ugliness, and I think I was able to do that. Now this page, I'm going to add a little bit. It started out being like a stained glass, and it was just kind of blah, and I've added some doodles. I'm going to come back and do something else with this page. I don't know what I want to do with this page, so it's not finished. Work in progress. Any of you have any ideas? Put them in the comments. This next page, this page and the last page were part of an old watercolor that it was a forest scene, and it was so-so. I knew I was never going to frame it or do anything with it, so I used it as the background. You can still kind of see the trees in the background, and I added some organic looking stamps and some paper and some acrylic and some footprints, because as I said, I really love to go walking in the woods, and I put my best days were long walks in the woods. And they still are. Now this page was a lot of fun. I took some more of this paper that I made, and I put that in the background. I wasn't real sure on how to adhere it to the paper, so it's probably not going to last very long. But I did some stenciling and some stamping. And I've been thinking about, now I've been married 40 years, and I know a lot of you young people think that love is just a happy feeling, but you know, when you've been married for a long time and you go through a lot of things, and you really realize that the Bible is right when it says love bears all things, believes all things, and hopes all things. And I hope all of you will have a nice, long-lasting relationship like I have had. And then here's my last page. This is, I started doing this, the colors were kind of dark again, and as I said, 2016 was kind of a rough year for everybody. And there's a wonderful gospel song that they sang at Whitney Houston's funeral called Stand. And I love that song. And it says, when you've done all you can, stand. And sometimes there's just not a whole lot to do, but stand. But I think that's good advice for everyone. Now, I put my journal together with Gorilla Tape. I know that's probably not the best way to bind. I'm probably going to do the next one differently. I didn't try to bind it or put it together until after I've done all the paintings. So I think I'm going to make the journal first next time and then do the paintings. But I thank you very much for watching my video, and hopefully I'll have some more on here. And my next project is going to be to do a page and video while I do it.